OGaccountability.com.
Good morning, everybody. We are back. We got the trio back together today. Thank you for joining us with OG Accountability. We're excited. We've kind of been talking about a few things before we got started here today, so we kind of got our passionate juices running. But Liz, thank you for being here. Yes. Joe, thank you for being here. Dave, thank you for being here. But what we were talking about this morning, I just kind of want to pick up on it, and we're talking about outrage and everything that's going on. I think I've said this before, and I may have actually said it on the podcast. You ever watch the news, and I don't watch it anymore, but you watch and they're like, new fallout over, and you're like, who's falling out? Like, you know, they word everything like everything's so grandiose and horrible. I don't know anybody falling out because of, you know, President Trump's decisions or Hunter Biden's cocaine. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't his cocaine. You know, but nobody's falling out over that. But the media, it really does produce trash and keeps people outraged over things that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, definitely 30 years ago, people would just be like, because people are so busy with building their lives and feeding their families. Are people really that outraged? And this is something I learned from a good friend of mine who is into, he is an IT expert and he's a programmer. I did not know this. And he does not have an independent study, but from the intelligence that he has, did you know that the majority of the comments that come on Facebook that cause divisive friction between people are actually AI bots and they're not real people? They're programmed to keep friction going.
I did know that. I read something about that recently. It doesn't surprise me at all.
Isn't that disgusting?
Yes, is it disgusting? Yes. Is it surprising? No. Like that's the whole purpose of social media, really, it's a control tool, just like the TV is. Like the TV will go down as is the greatest military weapon in all of history.
It's
the way that it's been used to program and influence the masses. Like there's never been anything like it. Same with social media. It's just different.
So why are people getting so outraged?
I think it's because they can't get over themselves.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, I do. I think that the convenience of technology and the convenience that we've, the advances we've seen over the last 2 decades have made life too easy for people. All right, I do. I think, and that has fostered this I want, I need, I deserve attitude, and that's not what life is.
Well, when you have to focus on survival or you have to focus on actual problems, you don't have time to be so narcissistic and inwardly focused.
100%.
Joe, I got a question. We were talking about Israelis earlier. Every single one of them goes in the military. I've never experienced that, but you have. If everybody had to go put their feet on those orange footprints and go through that, you think we'd have a different country?
Absolutely. Well, look, that right there removes you from self. Okay, that's one of the greatest. That's one of the greatest things that I ever gained from the military is that there's just things out there a lot bigger than you, right? And you need to become a part of something bigger than yourself, and it really removes that instant gratification that a lot of people seek. Absolutely.
That is just it. Instant gratification. Everybody just now. And
justification. Yeah. They want their thoughts. They want their opinions to be justified. So that's when they go and try to get everybody else. They make comments. They support comments that from one side or the other. Right?
Y'all can echo back if this kind of resonates with you. The older I get, the more experience I get, and I start looking at myself, and I realize me 10 years ago, there's a lot of things I was wrong about. I couldn't see it then. I can see it now. And I think that puts a lot of people in a place when you do self-reflect, you will either gain for it, number one, go back and apologize. I'm sorry is huge. I mean, look at Happy Gilmore. No, Billy Madison. He apologized to the guy he bullied, and he scratched him off the list from taking him out, man. I mean, you just never know what I'm sorry is going to do with people. But, I'm just tired of the outrage of things that don't matter. I mean, let's really look at this when we look at the Grand Design. In other countries, do you think they care about the Jason Aldean song? Go to Lebanon right now. Go stay on the Lebanon border. No, they're just worried about staying alive, trying to find some food, and hopefully not get blown up in the middle of the night.
They don't know who the hell Jason Aldean is.
No, they don't.
You know,
They call him Jason Aldean.
Well, the vast majority of people who hate him now had no idea who he was until a few days ago
Right.
either.
It's fake outrage, and the media tells them. So I have his song right here, just for. I'm going to show you the biggest racist song that has come out. It says, if you sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store, y'all think it's cool. Well, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag, light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. We'll try that in a small town. How's that racist?
It just
Well, we're white, so we.
but for several it's like a lot of other things. For several decades now, powerful people with no soul and no who are total psychopaths have used race to bludgeon people in order to control them and make them angry. They do it with a lot of things. Race is one of the big ones, and so that people that have been taken in by that are susceptible to being told whatever. If those same people tell them this is racist, they go along with it because that's what they've been programmed to believe.
When we talk about racism, I believe in the Constitution. I do believe that all men are created equal, but I believe when we do get into politics, when we begin to look at race, I don't want to get too far into race just because we could really stay there. But I mean, when we do look what has happened with the black community, and it's been the people they have voted for, have completely set them up in poverty. Not all of them, but put them in a position where they do become a victim of circumstance or a lifestyle of circumstance. I don't want to say victim, that's bad, but they're stuck in a place when they realize the people that you are voting for want you there because they control you.
I think people are starting to realize that, though. Like, black men are really starting to break away from like a lot of the traditional things that I think they were expected to believe. Like, we have numbers about that, but it's not just that. Like, that's just one thing that they use to to control people. But it's really fear and anger is how they control people. So like you talk about outrage is how they control people, and mostly with identity stuff. They do it with women and gay people and stuff too. Just like, you're a victim because you're a woman, and these are the people that are hurting you, and your life sucks because of them. They do it with all sorts of groups and things.
And Joe and I are over here with our white male privilege, so we don't really get to talk about this because, we'd be mansplaining.
Well, you guys are the ones that they use as the big boogie. Well, because the ultimate goal is to tear down America, and white men are the ones that protect the country traditionally, and there's more of them here than any other demographic. So it's helpful to make you the boogeyman because it's, I don't know.
I don't give a shit. They can make me. I don't care.
Sign me up.
I think that the African American community and other communities are starting to see through the bullshit of these politicians and the media. I 100% believe that, and I think that they've made a huge tactical error by opening up our borders the way they have. Mm-hmm. They've made a huge error because they're going to get those devout Catholics and all those people over into this country and be like, wait a second, we're not for that.
Yeah.
I don't want you grooming my child.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it's on the good people in this country to make sure they understand that, though, because the predators who prey on black people, gay people, women, whatever, and lie to them in order to stir them up and get them to vote a certain way, they're going to do it to those people too.
Yeah, and they got the biggest microphone right now.
Right.
The media, liberal media, and the politicians, they got the loudest megaphone, right?
Yeah.
But some of the stuff that they're trying to pull right now, I just don't think that people are going to... I mean, we've all seen it here recently, right? We just talked about the podcast with Ice Cube and Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah, he's been like this forever.
I put a link up on that. People need to go watch that. I mean, it's really good.
You're talking about a leader in the black community and has been for decades.
Forever, yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
And I love him. Look, I'm a hip-hop fan. I've always listened to Cube, right?
Yeah.
And to hear somebody come out, a prominent member of that community coming out and saying, hey, look, we're not stupid.
Yeah.
Bottom line is we're not stupid. We got tired of getting fed the bullshit.
Yeah.
And as far as like outrage goes, like, this just kind of hit my spirit. I've been saying this for a long time, that if we have this paradigm shift, everything will change. But tying it back to outrage, the minute that everybody, like all of us, realize that our outrage doesn't need to be at each other. It's not I'm black and you're white and I hate you, or I'm gay and you're a Christian and I hate you, or I'm a woman and you're a man.
Want.
Right. The second we realize that we shouldn't be fighting, our outrage should be directed towards them. It is all of us versus them, that's when things will change, because there's way more of us, so our collective outrage would end a lot of bad things going on in this world.
And that's the thing, is people forgotten that about in this country. We're the ones who are supposed to have the power. That's the way this whole thing was set up.
Yes.
It was set up for us to run things. The problem is the people that got it, money got into politics. Bottom line. Yeah. Money got into politics.
Lobbyism should be outlawed.
100%.
That is one of the few things. I don't think that they don't agree about the methodology necessarily, but that's one of the few things that, like, you know, even the most polarized people on the side, you know, on the political sides, just about everybody agrees that we need campaign finance reform.
Yes.
The how is up for debate, but everybody agrees.
Who's going to vote for it in the houses?
Right.
Nobody.
It ain't going to be Dan Crenshaw.
No, it's not.
Sorry. I don't like you anymore, Dan.
Any of them. You don't rise to that level in politics unless you are some sort of slimy.
And Joe said something really profound, and it really hit me. So, you know, growing up in Huffman, I had lots of Hispanic friends. You know, we had a decent Hispanic population, still do. And with all my Hispanic friends, you know, what's funny is I never looked at them as Hispanic. They were just my friend. But I will tell you about their families, and they're so much different than white culture. White culture, we are completely, everybody's out for themselves. We take mom and dad, we throw them in a nursing home. Not them. Grandma will live with them. Mom and dad will live with them. Grandma's, and they are all about family, and that should be modeled.
They do work. Their work ethic is phenomenal. And I've been saying this to people, you know, involved in politics in Montgomery County. I know they're trying to resettle a lot of illegal immigrants in Montgomery County, again, with the intention of trying to flip it politically.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to go talk to these people, because the trend in Texas among Hispanics is just like it is, like we were talking about with other, you know, racial demographics. They're starting to wake up and starting to figure out, like, who the real enemy is here. So somebody needs to go into these people's neighborhoods and tell them what is really going on here, so they can't be exploited. Because these people, they just got here. They don't know what's going on. These people will lie to them and exploit them if they can.
I'm tired of what's this, and it's media-driven outrage, and it really, truly is the Biden administration. Look at Greg Abbott. He puts up a barrier in the water trying to keep Texas somewhat safe, and they're trying to sue him, telling him, how dare you not let these people in?
Destroying the country. How dare you stop them?
Where's the outrage on that? And I know where the outrage is, and Joe said it so perfect.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. No, you say it sounds better when you say it.
Well, what I said was, and I mean this, is that the common sense voters are starting to vote with their wallets now. They're voting with their pocketbooks.
Target.
You have to, if you were making what used to be considered very comfortable money, your lifestyle's changed over the last few years because of inflation. Much less if you were barely getting by. Like, it's affecting everyone.
Well, look at Bud Light.
Yeah.
Look at Target.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, well, they'll recoup that. It takes a long time to recoup that.
Not when you've lost, 25 to 30% of the market share?
Yeah.
No.
And so my uncle, who owns a very large venue, and Bud Light was he bought more from Bud Light products for his venue. No longer. Yeah. Now he uses other anyways, but he knows lots of businesses that have done the same thing. And we're talking $20,000 to $30,000 a day of Bud Light product just at his venue.
Well, think about what that affects. That doesn't only affect, the people who aren't going to spend their money on it anymore, but what about the guy delivering the beer? What about the guys, filling the kegs at the brewery? What about all those brewery workers? What about the big Anheuser-Busch right there at 610 and I-10 on the east side of Houston? What's going on there? How many of those people have been laid off?
And it's going to continue down that path. But that's a form of outrage right there.
That's outrage right there, but
intelligent outrage.
It's intelligent outrage.
Intelligent,
right?
If you hit the bottom line, which is their dollar,
it's justified outrage. Like, just one of the worst things is, the powers that be that are trying to divide everybody and control everybody. They really keep us in the dark, like just at large with information control. It's like kind of the last thing they have at this point is information control, but it really does work, and it's. How do you convince everybody? There are way more of us than them, but how do you convince everybody that, guys, it's not us versus each other for any of these reasons. These people want to enslave you. They want to take everything from you. It's all of us. We have to fight them together. Like, how do you get people to see that at this point? That's where the outrage needs to be, is this, we have a common enemy. Outrage towards the common enemy.
I think it may be a slower process than we're hoping for. But I do think it's coming.
We're 5 generations deep into
Well,
subversion and psychological warfare in this country.
Sometimes it takes, what's going on right now. I mean, look at all the things that are going on right now in Washington. It's a mess. It's always a mess, right? So that's always relative because it's always shitty there. But the thing
It's a visible mess.
Yes, and it's being uncovered now. That's exactly.
But
that deal
this is
yesterday
the first
with
step
that
to
judge.
fixing it. This is the first step to fixing it. Is
Yes,
uncovering
Y'all
it.
are the first. I don't watch the news or anything anymore. So y'all are the first that were ever tell me about that judge. That's amazing.
That judge was like, "No, I'm not taking this plea deal. That's not, for Hunter Biden." And then to dismiss the gun charge, the felony firearm charge, but they want to talk about being tough on, gun crime.
Well, what she
but
did
yet
is
they're going to dismiss it.
What she did was expose them for their backroom dealings. We absolutely have a 2-tiered justice system in this country. Everyone knows it, and
She
what
better
they
be
were
careful. She may have some Clinton people come and visit her in the middle of the night.
right. Well, one
Right now,
of the
FBI is
ways
coming for us.
one of the ways they do that is, again, information control. So it's clear to anyone who's paying attention that what they were trying to do is slap him on the wrist, get him to plead guilty to slaps on the wrist, so that they could get the media to lie for them the way that they do in every totalitarian regime that has ever been around, and say, we charged him too, he pled guilty too, and the public believes it because they're not informed and they don't care.
Well, if
They read the headlines.
They
not
read the
body.
headlines. That's right.
Well, speaking of headlines, if people really want to see, if you want to get outraged, get a controversial topic, go Google it, and then go DuckDuckGo it, and look at the difference in headlines and how things are masked. And information, my father always told us growing up, whoever controls the information controls you. If somebody can get in your head and make you believe and get outraged over things that aren't.
Communists have always known that, though, which is why, it's why communist propaganda is so subversive. Like, one of the points of communist propaganda is to get you to not trust your own thinking.
Well,
so they attack things like gender, like trying to convince you
That's
that
the
men can be
playbook.
women. Yep.
That's the playbook.
That's communist propaganda 101.
101.
And look, people, if you're listening, we don't have all the answers. I mean, we have most of them, but we don't have all the answers. So there's people who think differently than we do. And if you do, we hope you listen and you enjoy it and you can take it to heart. And if you don't like it, you can find something else to listen to. But what I think what we're all getting at and the stance we're taking is we're not outraged for outrage's sake. I'm outraged for my future, my daughter's future, for this country. This is a great country.
This is an anomaly, like a serious. This country is in a good way, but it is a blip on the radar of a good anomaly in human history. Human history has been brutal and tyrannical and dark and awful, and the freedoms that we at least at one point had in this country were a ray of light in what otherwise has been a sea of tyranny and darkness, and it deserves to be defended, like, ferociously.
I know there'll be some outrage over this, but you talk about people who get outraged about serious things. Look at Vladimir Putin. He came out in his country and told every farmer that if you grow GMO, genetically modified foods in our country, we will treat you like a terrorist. Think about that.
I bet people don't do that anymore.
And they're not going to. What he's saying is, this crap that's going on over in the West, we don't want that in our country because, number one, we are the number one country for what? Cancer? Look at everything. You ready for this? You want some outrage. Joe, you hit on it about, they want to go easy on Hunter Biden, but hard on criminals. Out of 193 countries, we are number 3 for gun violence. If you take Chicago, New York, LA, Philadelphia, and it wasn't Houston. I can't remember the 5th one. If you take them out of the mix, we're 189th. Think about that. Yeah. Take those 5 cities. If you take them out of the mix, we went from 3rd to 189th.
The leadership in those cities.
It's
and they have some of the strictest gun laws in the country.
But they're smarter than you. They all went to college, and they should be making all the decisions. And you
Yeah, well, I'm better looking than Lori Lightfoot.
Oh, I agree. You're just backwards and all this other stuff they say.
And Liz, here's the other thing. You didn't get the memo, I guess. Khakis, green shirt,
Yeah.
black hat. I mean,
Oh,
What
well,
happened?
yeah.
You guys didn't get the memo. I mean,
I'm repping bandana.
Yeah, I
every
need
day.
to. I'm gonna wear my flower blouse next time,
Same here, man. And we'll call you Joe.
and I'll fit right in with a can of Bud Light. In front
yeah,
of
we'll
me.
call you Joelle and we'll
We'll call you
celebrate
Joelle. I just tired of this fake outrage, and I don't talk about it a lot, but people need to understand the art of influence. I don't talk about it a lot in front of my daughter, but she knows my stance. So my daughter is about to be 12 years old next month. No, 2 months from now, on the 19th of September. And so if y'all want to send her any gifts. But to hear her talk about some of the topics, sometimes you wonder what your kids think. She thinks this whole transgender thing is the most silly thing on earth. She's like, how can a man ever be a woman, Dad? And I'm like,
Little kids get it.
little kids get it.
Doctors who really are just big pharma indoctrination victims at this point.
But
They don't get it? Really?
So I'm loving that all this outrage that we need to be acceptance. Okay, I'm going to go biblical for a second because I've lived in the church my whole entire life. I like to consider myself a realist in Christianity, not a, you know, Joe, you've been around me. Liz, you've been around me. I love people. I want to help people, but don't think for 1 second if you cross me and you threaten me, I'm not going to slap the piss out of you. I'm not that type of Christian where I just sit there and let people walk all over me. That's never what God called us to be, ever. He told us to be.
We really need more people to be like that.
We need to be meek. We need to be kind. We need to be gentle. But there came a time in every leader's journey that was called by God that they had to fight. They had to get out and actually physically fight. And I'm not promoting violence, but when you just start accepting things, God doesn't even accept everything. God said, here's my perimeters. If you don't want what I want, stay out of those perimeters. But I'm not going to accept you unless you're within my perimeters. That was God.
Well, God hates evil and says that we should too.
And so we've gotten to acceptance, and then there's outrage if you don't, like, what's wrong with you? You don't want that man to go in the bathroom with Kaylee?
No, I sure don't. What's
He
wrong with
values
you?
his life.
Yeah.
Bottom line,
Hey,
you go into the restroom with my daughter, you're never walking out of there.
Yeah, I honor that 100%. And people are like, well, you're just a bigot.
No, you're actually insane. There's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with you. You're a predator. You're insane. You don't believe in science. Like you're if you have children, I'm worried about them. Like everything that you believe regarding this topic is wrong. And someone needs to tell you that.
And I'm going to say something, I may get death threats after this. Everybody wants acceptance. Suicide in the transgender and the homosexual community is very, very high.
The transgender communities, it's like 42%.
And it's very sad. It really is sad. That's human life. But you're wanting me to accept what you can't even accept yourself. I don't even accept myself, but I want you to accept me. And I'll accept you as a human being. I will do everything. But when you start perverting the natural design of nature and you want me to buy into that farce.
What's a lie? And I have a lot of outrage over being asked to submit to a lie. I won't. I never have, and I never will.
That's my issue right there. Okay, I'm a big personal liberty, individual liberty person.
Me too.
Okay, whatever you want to do when you turn 18, that's your fucking business. Right.
Agree.
However, don't try to make me call you a certain name or a certain gender, or don't try to change me. And then if I don't agree with it, don't get outraged over it. Okay, you wanted acceptance. There's a difference between acceptance and wanting to be special. And that's what it's become.
Well, they do want to be special and always have, and it's,
Well, look at Mike. Mike just posted something the other day. Matrenga, so great. Where, what was it, the head coach or whatever from the football team came out as gay. What does that have to do with football?
Yeah.
We don't care who you
I
sleep
don't
with.
care
Win
at
the
all.
game.
Good
Win
for
the
you. I'm
game.
glad you're happy.
Yes.
I don't
Perfect.
care.
That's
And
your business.
It doesn't make you a hero because you like to have sex with men.
Right.
It's just all this identity stuff.
Well,
Like that's really the thing that just, since I've always felt this way. I remember being a kid feeling this way because they did all this identity stuff to us too. It was just a little more subtle. And I just remember thinking like hearing about, we need to be sensitive to this issue for this community. And it's like, you know what? wouldn't progress, like actual progress, be a very concerted effort to make sure that we all look at each other as human and not black and not gay and not male?
Why does
we
there
are
have to be something
humans.
attached?
Anything other than that to me is backwards. Like,
Joe
it
just
really
said
is.
Joe just said it. There's an attachment to it.
Yes.
Why?
And then there's an extreme.
100%
Tribalistic
correct.
brain stem stuff.
You are 100% correct.
That is the only form of progress, in my opinion. Like, I get that certain groups of people face issues and stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. This whole thing about like reparations. I've heard the argument for it. I get it. I don't agree because we're all humans. Like, I'm really glad about the affirmative action decision. That is a really big step towards this principle. Progress
Yes.
is we are all humans. You do not judge somebody, evaluate anybody over their color or their gender or any of that. That's how I've always been. That's the only acceptable way to be, I think. I think you're a bigot if you're any other way.
Somebody's color in the foxhole.
No, I mean, I never cared. We were all equally worthless.
Well, that came from your DI.
No, that never bothered me. I've always, even growing up in an all-white school and all that. I mean, I always, had friends of other races. I mean, I'm married to, other races of women before.
Well, like in Houston,
I have kids that are mixed race.
Yeah,
so
Houston
it's
is the
never
most
mattered.
diverse city in America.
You're just cloaking your real self.
No, I just like other chicks from other races.
Yeah, hey.
I can't help
This
it.
is a family show, Joe.
There's something about that short, dark Asian that just drives me nuts.
I had somebody try to tell me one time that only being attracted to certain races is racist, and I was like, can we just not start that, because it's not true.
No,
and
not.
it's like, why don't we just like allow people to just be attracted to what? Why do we focus on this stuff? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because there you go. Let's get the outrage in areas it really doesn't matter, so we can be behind the scenes doing whatever we want to do. I look at it like this. I don't have to justify my life. I had gay family members. Okay, my uncle was gay, coolest guy ever. I sat and talked with him. You know what? He never talked about being gay. Now, granted, he was from a different era. He was in his 60s. He grew up in a time as everybody just, I am what I am and I stick to myself. Now, my ex-aunt-in-law or whatever, she was gay. Her girlfriend or wife, that was my fishing buddy. Every family event, her and I'd go off fishing together. I have gay friends that, I won't say their names, but went to school with, and they own businesses. I patronize their business. That they do great job. They're my friends.
The fact that they can live peacefully, and for the most part in this country at this point, if you're just a normal person and you're gay, no one cares. You are totally accepted, which is good.
We don't care if you're gay.
But that's one of the other anomalies of this country. Where in human history, in what country ever could you be gay without being thrown off a building, without being stoned to death, without being exiled from the town? Nowhere, ever.
Here's a question. And the Bible talks about the great lying wonder that was written. I think that scripture was written 4,500 years ago. What is the great lying wonder? What could they have been talking about? I think it's the TV.
Oh, probably.
I mean, the great lying wonder that all the world can sit in front of and get lied to.
It's a military weapon.
Well, he's just a bigot and a religious zealot, and well, maybe, but
Usually the people that call you a religious zealot are the biggest religious zealots on the planet.
And then
like they're freaks over the rainbow cult and they're total religious people.
And then let's take it back. There's a scripture that says they will do right in their own eyes, and they will call good bad and bad good.
Well, that's happening right now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this outrage. This song, because he talks about the riots. Here's where my outrage is. All Jason Aldean was saying is, y'all are doing this in Democratic-run areas because they let you. They let you. So here's my question. Where is the outrage for these business owners that have poured their whole life into a business and that gets burnt down in a city? Now, you ready what was it, Sheila Jackson Lee, who said, well, they have insurance. Insurance is in case I have a pipe bust. Insurance is in case something happens. Not you can come burn my store down because you feel outraged, and therefore I am supposed to just be like, oh, well, I have insurance. It's
They've
cool.
been indoctrinated by people who talk about good trouble and that riots are the language of the unheard and you're oppressed and you have a right. They believe that. They really believe that.
But they don't do that. They don't do that where there's a bunch of good old boys.
No, because they get shot in the face.
They know.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
A little louder for those in the back of the
They
room.
get shot in the face.
You know, I have a business. Joe, you have a business.
Yeah.
And, Liz, you have a business, but your business is online and done interact with people. But could you imagine being at your place and you're doing everything and you and Tia, your whole family's poured everything in your business
Yeah.
and have some people who are mad what happened 5 miles down the road and think, well, we're going to come burn his place down.
Well, they can try.
You can say whatever you want. I can bleep it out. So
Okay. Well, I mean, the thing is, you're right. But, that is just such a comment from Sheila. That kind of comment right there. They got insurance. Fucking inept ass. What's wrong with you?
It's disgusting.
It's,
I have a
what's wrong
right
with
to
you?
act like a violent, selfish, racist animal.
Because you're a
you have
responsible business owner.
Disgusting.
how dare you?
How
dare you
dare
not
you
let
do
them
what
burn it
you?
down?
How dare you have insurance?
Well, and play that all the way through. You smashing up someone's business, you destroying a city, changes what exactly?
We still have a deductible we have to pay, right? Not only do we have a deductible to pay, you're talking about loss in revenues, because if the store owner they got to get new product in, they're not going to get that money back.
No.
And guess what? That business that they had established and those people, they're going to another store now, right? A place that didn't get burned. And those people may never come back there.
Some places are third and fourth generation
Yes.
business owners, and Liz actually met one of my heroes, Kyle Rittenhouse, and she encouraged him. But
I told him he was a hero. I said, don't you ever let anybody tell you that what you did was wrong. We need more men like you in this world. You're a brave young man.
be
and
careful,
I
he's
hope
going to
you don't
slide
change.
into your DMs. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back.